Hello, remember, to thyself be true and to thy finances be true. In the month of August, this is how my budget went. So, in terms of income, everything stayed the same, but I got a gift of 100 Rand. And then refund, instead of 1.5, my husband gave me 2,500 Rand. So the total income that I had for the month of August was 26,611 Rand 70 cents. My fixed expense remained the same at an amount of 4,526 Rand 67. When it comes to my groceries, I overspent at groceries with 4,121 Rand 14 cents. I overspent on wheat with 936 Rand 68 cents. Petrol I overspent with 650. Uber Bolt I overspent with 328. Taxi I spent less, which was 69 Rand 20. Gautrain I spent less, which was 1,262 Rand. Giving, I did not spend anything. Cleaning supplies, I spent less, which was 99 Rand 98 cents. And then toiletries, I spent more with 1,132 Rand 95 cents. Household, I spent less, which is 588 Rand 98 cents. For my child, I spent 700, which was more than budgeted. Electricity, I spent 1,000 Rand, which was more than budgeted. Standard Bank, I spent less, 7 Rand 50. Time Bank, 6 Rand 50. Capitec Bank, 8 Rand 50 in terms of fees, which were all less. And then eating out, I spent 170 Rand 90 for the month. Then tollgate, I spent 58 Rand. So all in all, my variable expenses amounted to 11,140 Rand 33 cents. I don't have any debt, so there's nothing on debt. Moving on to savings, emergency fund, I put 3,000. 52 weeks challenge, I put at 2,000. Christmas fund, I put 1,250. School fees, I put 100 Rand. And then for Black Friday, there was a roundup of Capitec, a roundup of 3 Rand. And then in terms of my savings, all in all, I spent 6,353 cents. And then in terms of the investment, I spent exactly 1,600 Rand. And then personal expenses, grooming, I spent 530 like I budgeted. Medication, I spent 102 Rand 23 cents. Hair salon, I spent 200 Rand. Stockfile, I spent 1,000 Rand. And then personal was 750. So airtime, then I spent 30 Rand. So all in all, my personal fund expenses amounted to 2,612 Rand 23 cents. So in terms of summary, total income that I had was 26,611 Rand 70 cents. My total expenses amounted to 18 Rand 279 Rand 23 cents. I saved 6,353 cents. I invested 1,006. So amount left over to September then becomes 379 Rand 47 cents. I overspent on savings and variable expenses for this month, and underspent on personal expenses. When it comes to the monthly review, my total income was 26,611 70 cents. Total expenses 18,279 Rand 23 cents. I saved 6,353 Rand. I invested 1,600 Rand, and then the balance remaining became 379.47. And then for my budget category for the week, savings and investment amounted to 7,953 Rand. Food for the month, 5,228 Rand 72 cents. Transport, 2,367 Rand 20 cents for all 5 weeks. Miscellaneous, 4,021 Rand. Personal beauty, 3,612 rand 95 cents. And then subscription insurance baby was 1,226 rand 67 cents. Utilities household was 1,688 rand 96 cents. Medical 102 rand 23 cents. So for this month, all in all, I spent 170 rand 90 on impulse purchases. I spent 269 rand 20 cent in cash, and then debit card I spent 17,972 rand 53 cents, and then unexpected expenses was 478 rand, and then transaction charges for the month was just 6 rand. So in terms of the view of how everything went, I spent 30% of my income on savings and investments, 20% on food, 9% on transport, 15% on miscellaneous, 7% on personal and giving, 6% on household and utilities, 1% on insurance, 1% on subscription, baby and beauty 10% of my income, medical 1%. So the majority as represented here went to my savings and investment, then food, then miscellaneous, then came the baby and beauty, then it was personal and giving, household and utilities, insurance, subscription here, and lastly transport and medical here. Until next time, remember, to thyself be true and to thy finances be true.